When Ontario Premier Doug Ford made the decision to deploy the Notwithstanding clause to pass a bill shrinking the size of Toronto City Council, it was not, as the left would have you believe, an act of defiance against the Constitution, against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In actuality, it was the only decision to preserve the integrity of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is why the Notwithstanding clause was put into the Charter in the first place. This is the only way that we can fight back against judicial activist judges who, instead of interpreting the Constitution through a legal lens, do it through their own political and ideological lens. And to be honest, even a lot of legal scholars and political scientists, even if they aren't fans of Doug Ford or the bill in question, tend to believe that this is a legitimate use of the Notwithstanding clause. But the criticisms and condemnations that have come not just from opposition parties, but a few social justice activist groups should concern many Canadians. PEN Canada, which is supposed to be a group that stands up for the rights of authors and journalists and other forms of artists to express themselves in other parts of the world, has condemned this, as has Amnesty Canada. Now, PEN Canada and Amnesty are groups that have a great track record of doing a lot of very important work, specifically standing up for the right to free expression of people in parts where freedom of expression does not exist. PEN Canada, which is normally the one that should be standing up for the blogger in Saudi Arabia who's getting however many lashes, or an author in Africa that's going to jail for challenging authority, is now going after Doug Ford. And I'm sure that when they put their virtue signaling statement out condemning Doug Ford, all of those imprisoned authors probably had a sigh of relief and rejoicing in between lashes, because PEN Canada is truly standing up for the little guy in this. And what about Amnesty? In fact, there's a brutally honest Toronto Star piece about it, where the article says that Amnesty is usually standing up against brutal dictatorships and human rights regimes, but now it's time for them to criticize a Canadian government, something they've never before done. This hysteria shows really Ford Derangement Syndrome is alive and well. The fact that we are now conflating human rights abuses by brutal dictatorships with a province expressing its own autonomy and using a legally enshrined mechanism to put forward a legislative agenda, this shows where Canada's left really is. They honestly can't distinguish between a conservative head of government and a dictator. And this is something that the right is going to have to contend with in every election moving forward. For the True North Initiative, I'm Andrew Lawton.